Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 12, where we part ways with Doctor number 9, Christopher Eccleston. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Glenn.
Welcome to Traveling the Vortex. How are you guys doing this week?
Good.
Good week. Good
It
week.
has been a good week. It was, it's almost like we're getting this little, mini lead up to Series 6. Just, we get the announcement last week when it's airing. This week we get a little bit of touch of the trio in the Red Nose Day specials. So we're getting, this is getting exciting.
It was like an episode.
It was.
It was like,
like a mini
yay,
episode.
Doctor Who,
It
and
was.
now it's gone, and I have to wait again.
Yeah.
Sean, this past week, celebrated a birthday. So
that's
happy
right.
birthday
Happy
to you,
birthday.
Oh,
Sean.
yeah, that was a good week, too.
That's right. We had a big party for you yesterday.
Big shindig, and appreciate everybody coming over, and I definitely appreciate the gifts. That were thank you for all of you. Glenn got me the Ironsides Dalek action figure, and Keith got me a gift certificate, which I used to purchase more Doctor Who, actually. What else would I buy?
I figured that was safer than trying to buy You Knew Who.
That's true. It's hard to buy for a Who fan when you know.
Especially when they have so many DVDs like Sean has.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
That's why it was safe to go with a toy, because I kind of knew what you had. Although I was a little worried that you had already bought one of those, because they're so cool looking.
They are cool looking.
I was hoping to find a Tom Baker action figure to get him,
Oh, that would have been good.
but they didn't have it. All they had was multicolored.
Oh, Colin Baker's.
Yeah,
Doctor,
Colin
yeah,
Baker's,
6.
so.
Yeah. They had 6. They had, they had a couple Matt Smiths. They had
They have
Raggedy Doctor. And
Matt
then,
Smiths.
But you got Tennant or you got Smith?
I have Tennant.
You have Tennant, okay.
I bought it was the Doomsday box,
Oh, that's
which we
right.
can't talk
That's right.
about yet.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
But-
there were some in that, yeah.
I did consider a
Spoilers.
Weeping Angel for a little bit.
Was there a Weeping Angel? Did you go to Hastings?
Yeah.
There was a Weeping Angel?
I know there was at least a translucent
Oh,
one.
I didn't look.
I didn't look and
Didn't
see if there was
that.
another
I might have
one.
got you the Weeping Angel if I had seen it.
I'm
No,
happy
the
with the Dalek.
The Ironside's Dalek was very cool.
That's
Well,
definitely the coolest of
My
them.
first thought was I'm going to go in there and get him a Dalek, because I had only thought you'd had one or two, and so I was like, I'm going to go in and get a Dalek. And I went in there, and of course I looked at the Skittle Daleks and went, nah. This is
And
number one.
thank you
it's
for not getting that Skittle
Number
Dalek.
one, it's the Ironsides is a cool, it's a classic design. And then number two, it's really cool because it's decked out in that army green,
Yeah.
so it's just really, really neat. Although Sean did point out, strapped around the Dalek, up above I think it's above the arm stocks and whatnot,
Yeah.
is like canteen and ration container and all these different things on a belt around it.
Elmo pouch.
Yeah, and ammo pouch. And he says, so how do the Daleks get anything out of these? You're right. It's not like that arm can reach up and around and grab whatever it needs out of there. So, but no, it's a cool looking.
It's a cool looking toy. So had a good birthday.
I'm glad.
And then went and saw Paul.
Yeah.
Which
was-
two of us saw Paul.
Yeah.
Glenn was unable
Unfortunately,
to
I wasn't
partake.
able to go.
And if you haven't seen it, outstanding.
Yes.
It's very funny, and it's full of pop culture sci-fi references. And
Any Who references?
No.
Not that I caught.
My one... Now, I'll admit, there was a lot of it that I was laughing, and so I may have missed one or two of the things that were thrown at me. And there was a lot of it that hit subconsciously, like, I know that's from something, but I'm not sure what, and I'll go back and watch it again later.
Yeah.
And figure it
Yeah, I
out.
had some of those too.
But I thought for sure, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, they're English. There's got to be a Who reference. And I didn't see a one in there.
Oh.
So that's my one complaint about the film, is that there's no Doctor Who in it.
Well,
And
hopefully you missed.
They'll come back and say, yeah, it's in there.
Just look harder. But we'll have to go watch it again. Well, when I go see it, you guys can come with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
absolutely.
I actually want to see it again because I enjoyed
I'm
it
ready
so much.
already. It was that good. Go see Paul.
Before we hop in the news, in case you hear some sniffling, I know allergies are hitting me because spring has come to Kansas. Glenn's sniffling a little bit, so
Finally.
we apologize for our sniffling if you hear it throughout the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
The snows have finally melted again.
And again,
Again.
and again,
And again. The sun is out and shining, and the jackets have been put away. My scarf is
We're all wearing shorts this
Yeah,
hanging
today.
up.
I had to actually crack the shorts out today because I haven't had those out since last fall, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in my Doctor Who
You
t-shirt.
are. The Who t-shirt.
The Who's.
Who's, yeah.
I got a compliment on this today. I went out because I had to go out and spend my birthday money, so I went out to Barnes & Noble, where I also, Sarah, a good friend, got me a gift card, which was very nice. And I bought more Doctor Who.
Really?
Yeah. And the guy that was at the counter was working again. He kind of looked up and he saw it and he was like, dude, I'm digging the T-shirt. And I was like, yay, that's just cool. So, already. We're stalling for time while Glenn looks for news.
I'm not looking for news. We know what our news items are. I was bringing them up just in case we needed help.
And do we need help?
Well, the first big bit of news is that via Twitter it was confirmed that Matt Smith has been reconfirmed, or he signed on for the 7th series of Doctor Who. So we know that he won't be going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, no, that's exciting because I think since
Amy and Rory, however, can be killed off at a moment's notice.
Well,
which aside from Rose for the new series, this is only the second companions that lasted more than one season. Am I right?
In the new series, yes.
Technically,
yes.
If you don't count the specials.
Yeah.
Technically. Well, yeah. No, technically, as the definitive companion, yes. Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah. So.
You're just fishing.
Yeah.
You're getting sneaky. Every week you come up with a new question, and Glenn and I are like, I'm not going to answer that
We
one.
have to get through series 2, 3, and 4 quickly so that we can talk more about some of that. But yeah, no, it's certainly so far so good.
Bravo, Matt, for season 7.
No,
yes.
Excited about Matt Smith. That's wonderful. And ever since Eccleston did the 1, Tennant did 4 seasons and 1 gap year special.
3.
And
3 seasons.
1 year of gap year specials.
Right.
That's what I meant.
3 seasons.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. 3 seasons. Yeah, you're right. 3 seasons. And
I consider
so it's 4 total.
The gap year specials. I consider season 4. I really do. It's
part of season 4. Absolutely.
Well, for Tennant,
yeah.
I mean,
I would agree.
And in my head, that's season 5, and Matt Smith actually started off in season 6, even though that's not how they're labeled, and that's not how anybody's going to label them except for me mentally.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, no, 3 seasons for Tennant plus specials.
Yeah. But anyway, so you kind of worry when when are they going to get tired of it, if they're going to think I don't want to get too attached to this program and be a Tom Baker and be there 7 years and then just completely.
I hope
be
Matt
the Doctor.
Smith sticks around for 7 years.
I don't know how Matt Smith could be anybody's doctor.
Whatever.
And the first shot in the jihad has been fired.
A salvo. No, we love Matt Smith and we're glad that he's back for another season. So, the other bit of news this week that Sean and I were a bit excited about was that the announcement that Tom Baker is officially signed to do some Big Finish audio plays. So that's exciting news. Tom's done some audio stuff, but I think it's been in the realm of more like book
narrating books,
exactly,
as opposed to an actual audio adventure.
Right. And it sounds like that he'll be reunited with I forget the actress's name. Played Leela.
Louise Jameson.
Louise Jameson, yeah. Is what it sounds like. I think that's kind of speculation right now, but
I'd be down with that.
Yeah, sounds like that she'll return to the series as well. Now she's done some audio plays as well. Not sure if she's done them as Leela, but she's played other characters as well. So she's been doing some Big Finish audio with them. So that'll be nice to see her.
And I blame you for this. Glenn kind of tweaked me a little bit into you really ought to start listening to the Big Finish audio stuff. And I've been experimenting a little bit with them. And man, I'm hooked. I am so. I need more, and they're very difficult to come by here in the States. So I'm not quite sure what.
Well, fortunately now through Big Finish's website, it used to be you had to order them on CD. So the first, their entire back catalog at one time was really difficult to get because number one, it was very expensive, and because you're ordering a CD, and I think you initially had to sign up for a season in order to get the CDs through the season. I don't think you could even buy them individually. I could be wrong on that, but with the advent, of course, of digital downloads now, it's a lot easier for us in the States to get them from Big Finish's site. So that was something that kind of opened it up, and more affordable in a sense as well, because no longer is there now packaging and the process of putting them out on CD was a necessity to deliver them to the United States. Now being able to buy them from the website is a lot more affordable for us here in the States. So.
Yeah. But no, I'm definitely looking forward to some more. I've sampled just a few of the Paul McGann Eighth Doctor adventures that they've done, and of course I love Paul McGann, so those were easy to love. And I'm hunting, and I'm going to see if I can get some from Big Finish of the other guys that they've done. So, good. But hey, Tom Baker,
some good stuff. Yeah, well, that's what's been sorely missing, because I've been listening to several of the adventures, and of course we've got Peter Davison, Colin Baker's done some, Sylvester McCoy, and then of course Paul McGann. So we've had Doctors 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now it'll be nice to get some Fourth Doctor under our bill as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. Also reading here that Mary Tamm's also reprising her role as Romana.
Really?
So, yeah. So that's the speculation
Romana 1.
right now. Yeah, Romana 1. So yeah, because Romana 2 is stuck in space. So
but she's done some as well.
she has. Lala Ward has done some Big Finish as well. I think she's a champion for Big Audio or for Big Finish Audio. She's been one of those people that have been really good about coming back and doing projects for them and helping them out.
Didn't I see on the BBC website when they redid Shada that isn't she in that with Paul McGann, that they recreated it?
That might be Lala Ward with Paul McGann. I've heard it, I've listened to it, but I can't remember. It was a webisode, so it was accompanied by flash animation, but I can't remember if that was a Lala Ward.
I thought I remember reading that.
It might be. I don't think it looks like her on the webisode, though, when I think about it, but maybe it was.
We'll explain all this later.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get there eventually.
That was a pun for those of you who know what we're going to be talking about today.
Bit of sad news this week.
Yeah, I was kind of upset by this. Michael Gow, the Celestial Toy Maker, passed away at the age of 94. Best known to Doctor Who circles, obviously, as the Celestial Toy Maker, and he was also... I don't remember the character's name now, but he was in a Peter Davison episode where he played a fellow Time Lord councilman, which I didn't know.
Arc of Infinity.
Arc of Infinity in that one. And, of course, at stateside, we know him as Alfred the Butler.
Yeah.
In the Batman's.
I
knew that, and I knew that it was Michael Gough, and I knew the Celestial Toy Maker. It wasn't until you posted it on our website that I put two and two together that it was the same guy that played Alfred. Now, I knew him, and I knew his name, and I never placed the two together. And I suppose because he's aged so much since he played in the Celestial Toy Maker. And, of course, there's very little left of the Celestial Toy Maker. I think there's episodes of that missing.
It's on the Lost Box set.
But there's limited episodes, and I've seen pictures of him from that episode. But I never put two and two together. That was the same guy.
I actually, not to take anything away from Michael Gough, because I mean, it's still a loss. I was a little... because I had just got done reading an article on Christmas Carol, and then the Michael Gough article came up, and I thought it was Gambon. And I was like, ah! No! I mean, because we just got him. I mean, and he's Dumbledore, and he's got all these other things going on, and no, we can't lose. So, in a way, it was, I don't want to say a relief, but I was pleased that it was not Michael Gambon. Yeah. But I was still saddened to see Michael Gough was no longer with us.
Any other news this week?
There was one other thing I thought the English debut.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which is not really news anymore.
Yeah.
It was confirmed. We all thought that it was.
We called it. We knew what was up.
As it is.
As the United States.
Matter of fact, I'm going to go on record. We claimed it. I'm just going to say it. We knew it, and we're going to lay claim to that you heard it here on Traveling the Vortex first, that we did break something.
Yeah.
Because we said, it's probably day and date. And it was. So we were right.
Well, all along, in the UK, they've been saying Easter on their, in BBC America, you always see spring, 2011. There it's been saying Easter. And I think it typically has a tradition of releasing Easter weekend. And that happens to be Easter weekend. So I think a lot of people put two and two together and said, well, that's obviously what it'll release as well in the UK. But now, this week was tweeted out that it's officially starting same day. So we're going to get it day and day.
And we actually got the first episode title.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right. We've actually gotten. Actually, I think we've gotten all the titles.
We've gotten more than that, but
The Impossible Astronaut.
that's
Yes.
right. Impossible Astronaut.
And that's
Which is-
something-
Yeah, that's right. We got that based on the Red
Red
Nose
Nose,
Day specials.
yeah.
That's right.
That's something that, and I don't know how you feel about this, but being a science fiction fan, you get episode titles. That's one of the cool things about. I don't like TV shows that don't title their episodes. It's just, how are we supposed to keep track? I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to have that. And I love the titles of Doctor Who episodes. The Seeds of Doom.
Yeah.
They're just cool titles.
The City of Death.
City of Death.
The Hand of Fear.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of fun. And then The Impossible Astronaut. I'm jazzed. I mean, if I wasn't jazzed before, I'm jazzed now. I'm ready. Bring this guy on.
Yeah.
Or gal.
which, and I saw somewhere online a kind of, I think it was, I was searching for the Red Nose Day video online, and found that, or maybe I was looking in Sean's Doctor Who magazine that he has, but last week we were discussing whether the third episode would be the Neil Gaiman
It
episode.
is.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
the fourth.
It's the fourth
They
episode.
pushed
It is
it
the
back
fourth episode.
one episode.
Yeah.
And so they have done some rearranging of episodes.
Yeah.
Is it Gaiman or Gaiman?
I think it's Gaiman.
I think
I've
I think you're right.
I've always thought it was
Gaiman.
Gaiman,
I've
but
heard it Gaiman.
I could be wrong. So
Neil, if you want to let us know how you properly pronounce your name, you can call our Google voicemail. Anyway, well, let's move on to feedback. I think that covers everything news-wise.
Yeah.
Clearly there's been a lot of news out this week, but I think those were kind of the ones that we
Those
wanted
were the
to-
big ones.
Yeah, those were the sweet ones we want to touch on. So, well, we've got a little bit of feedback this week, and I'm going to have Keith read this one out. This is actually in response to a piece of fan fiction that Sean wrote this week, which it's a really, really touching piece on the Brigadier, and involves, it's actually the best 11 Doctor story I've ever read in my life. We talked about how difficult, actually you talked about specifically how difficult it would be now to make a 10 Doctor or 11 Doctor special. That it would just they would be overshadowing each other so much because there's just so much personality in one spot. But I think you have captured it really well in this piece that you wrote, and it's almost really an endearing tribute to the Brig and Nicholas Courtney in a way, who famous for playing the Brig, and I personally enjoyed it, and we got a little bit of
thank you.
feedback back on it, which we'll read out now.
Freaky Alex Rhodes or commented on the blog post. Claps. So he's clapping, obviously.
Yeah,
Loved it. Such a touching scene. There are some brilliant little touches in there. The kind that make me smile whenever I read a story. The fading away thing. The writers will get us out of this thing. It's things like that that turn a good story into a great one, and this is definitely the latter. Thanks for posting it.
well, thank you for the feedback. That means a lot. Fan fiction is a daunting and difficult prospect at best, because there's always going to be somebody that's not going to be pleased with what you've put out there, and obviously you're playing in somebody else's sandbox, so you've got a lot of other, pressure to deal with internally as a writer, and it was something that kind of been, ever since we lost Nicholas, it's kind of been kicking around in my head. How would I do that? And finally sat up one night and wrote it and tweaked it, had you read it, Glenn, and you liked what you'd read so far, and went back, tweaked it again, and decided, we'll put it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that.
I think it was a very fitting tribute.
It
Thank
really
you.
was. It was really nice. Chrissy also commented. Chrissy's a friend of the show, CJ's blog. She left a comment saying, fantastic story. I really liked how you didn't call them the first Doctor, the second Doctor, etc., and instead made it about the Brigadier. I love the line, the writers will get us out of this. This is a wonderful little scene, and it's awesome that you posted it. So Chrissy enjoyed it
Thank
as
you,
well.
Chrissy.
So,
I'm pleased that it went over well.
a little more feedback this week. Moving along, Chrissy also sent us. She sent a response. This is Chrissy Johnson. She sent a response in the. We were talking about accents and
Last week,
what.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and what we wanted some feedback from people. How accents work. Do we have accents? And whatnot. So Chrissy wrote this. I'm writing this in the middle of your discussion on Captain Jack's accent and the American accents. Don't worry, I've paused the podcast so I don't miss anything. And since you mentioned my name in the discussion, I'm actually flattered you did, I really have to chime in. You guys sound like most people in Utah do. At least you sound the way people in Salt Lake City metro area and points northward do. I've heard it called a Western neutral accent. Now, if you go further south in the more rural parts of the state, you get more of a Western Southern redneck down on the farm stuff, especially the further away you get from the city, which is pretty much everything between Provo and the Arizona border. I'm actually right in the middle of the state where it's rural, but not that far from the city, so I don't have that hardcore redneck accent. I hear a lot of crick and warsh stuff around here too, and it drives me crazy. Personally, I've been told that I have a Utah accent, which I don't even know what that is. Something to do with how you say the letter A, I guess. I don't think I've ever heard a Utah accent, so I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to listen to the rest of the podcast, Chrissy. So she also chimed in that little bit of information. So apparently we have a Western neutral.
I can live with Western.
Yeah, no, Western
I'm all right
neutral
with
that sounds right. I think I've heard a lot of people refer to at least the central part of the United States as really no distinctive accent. That you've got the north above us that definitely has a noticeable accent or a discernible accent. You've got the south below us that has definitely a discernible accent, and even to our east on the East Coast, there's
especially northeast.
Well, yeah, northeast, New England especially.
Yeah.
I don't know that California or even out that way. It's such it's so mixed. You don't think you necessarily get it, but I've always heard people say it right here in the middle. There's really no distinct dialect.
And I think for a lot of the accents, like she said, it has to do with how you pronounce the A. Think of Canada or even England. The way they pronounce the A's will affect the way their voice sounds. And I think that has a lot to do with the accents, too.
All right, Chrissy, we're going to keep... Chrissy's our number one fan. I've just decided she sent the most emails. She's our number one fan.
She was the first, too.
She was. That's right. Absolutely.
So in many ways... She was our number
That's
one
right.
fan.
Actually, I think that's not true. I think David Vox Mullen was our first.
Was he?
Yeah. We haven't heard from David for a while.
No, we haven't heard.
Where are you, David? Come back.
I think he will. Well, he's busy with his own Who Noobs podcast, so we'll forgive him a little bit.
You're right. David was. How could I forget?
Chrissy's probably going to quit writing because we're reading out so much of her stuff, but she's always got great stuff. She made a post about our episode last week, which was episode 11, Are You Our Mummy? When we talked about some of the Eccleston stuff, particularly the Empty Child and the Dr. Dances. So she writes, Hey guys, I was going to put this in my last email, but I forgot. But I just want to say that I can totally understand Keith wanting to get some of the less than wonderful classic Who stories out of the way and save the really good ones for later. I just have to give you all some more grief over the Merca, as I do agree that Warriors Deep is a well-written story. It's just that the effects fall horribly flat. Also, I really think that you should watch the Aztecs, which I pointed out last week, by the way, at some point as well. Maybe you could pair it up with the Romans and do a historical story-themed episode at some point. Not that I'm telling you how to run your podcast or anything. So, no, that's a great suggestion.
That's a good idea.
We are definitely, Chrissy, looking for ideas, and that's something that we'll kind of file away because we've got so much on the forefront of things that we're want to do and some ideas and whatnot. But I think that would be an interesting route to go is do some of the historically placed episodes as well, and we could put the Aztecs in there because I love the Aztecs. It's such a good as far as I can remember, that's my favorite William Hartnell episode or story. So yeah.
Do we want to talk about what's coming up that we've kind of planned out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we usually kind of save that to the end show, but let's talk a little bit about that.
We've been looking at what's coming up as far as and I don't have that box set. Coming up in the future, because obviously this show we're going to here in just a moment we're going to finish off Christopher Eccleston. We're going to talk about Boomtown and Bad Wolf and The Parting of the Ways. Mm-hmm. We've got the comic relief specials, Space and Time, or is it Time and Space?
I think it was Space and Time, yeah, because I thought that was odd that they named them backwards that way too. But that makes sense because it's themed based on what they're talking about.
We'll get into that because that was so cool.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And Curse of the Fatal Death.
Yes.
We'll have to mention that. And then coming up, then for next week, we'll actually launch into David Tennant, and we'll do the Children in Need special.
Christmas Invasion, New Earth, and Tooth and Claw. Then
that sets us up nicely, because then what we're going to do is our first companion archives, in which we'll go back and we'll pick up some Sarah Jane episodes. Because following Tooth and Claw then is the school reunion episode, which reintroduces us to Sarah Jane Smith. And so,
and I think maybe that should be the poll for this week, because
that's not a bad idea.
I've kind of been struggling with what is the quintessential. We need a couple Sarah Jane episodes to really introduce them to. And I've been going through the library going, this is good. In fact, I just rewatched Hand of Fear recently. It's like, oh, wow, that's a really good one. But it's the last Sarah Jane, and I don't think that's a good idea, so I don't want to do that. And then something else. And
I think it might be good for me to watch the last Sarah Jane, though, since that's the last...
Well, I mean, you'll watch it eventually. Anyway.
Well, I mean... Maybe that's not the very first Sarah Jane I watched, but that would be good to lead me into.
That's actually not a bad idea, because then you'll get that why she comes back.
Oh yeah, well, so we definitely have to do Hand of Fear.
We have to do Hand of Fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what else? What else besides Hand of Fear?
Here we go.
What else besides Hand of Fear should we watch with
absolutely.
Sarah Jane?
Absolutely. Maybe even Sarah's first episode, which will be a Pertwee story, and I can't recall.
It's
right
the Sontaran one. The
Invasion of not Invasion of Time. The Time Warrior.
Time Warrior.
Yes, Time Warrior. Yeah.
Oh, and then after our companion archive,
Invisible Enemy.
Oh yeah, Invisible.
Because we have to introduce him to K9.
Yeah, that's right. Oh.
I know, it's a busy week.
Should we make him watch K9 Company then?
I've never seen it. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Well, then maybe we'll throw that in there so that we can all get a chance to see it. I have seen it actually, but yeah, we'll. That's
why I bought that one, because it's like, hey, and then you're like, can I borrow it?
Yeah, it's still sitting at my house.
Okay, so I haven't watched it yet.
Well, and then we'll go through the next 3 episodes with David Tennant, Girl in the Fireplace, Rise of the Cybermen, and the Age of Steel. And much like the Silurian episode, we will then go back and choose some Cybermen episodes and do an Adversary Archives.
Yep.
Can I throw my vote out there?
Go ahead.
I've got both Patrick Troughton, Tomb of the Cybermen, and the Invasion.
Yeah,
and
those are musts.
Those are the two I think we should do the Cybermen.
No,
on.
absolutely. I think so. The only other one that I think I would throw in there would be Podshock, which you also have as well.
Earthshock.
Earthshock, yeah, Podshock. No, that's the other Doctor Who podcast, which I think borrowed their name from that, which is a great podcast. Lewis and Ken and James. So just throwing that out there. I'll give you a plug since I actually said Earthshock. Yeah, Earthshock. Absolutely. I think that's a pretty good Cybermen episode as well, if I remember right.
So that would give us a nice and more Peter Davidson for Chrissy.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. That make Chrissy happy. You get to see more Peter Davidson.
And then that will lead right into...
Series 6 will be on our doorstep at that time.
So unfortunately, then that means we're going to get about halfway through David Tennant.
That's right.
And then we'll have to break for the Matt Smith, unless we want to try and cobble some Matt Smith together with Tennant at the same time. I'm not sure how we...
You know what?
We haven't really got that far.
It'll be easier because... Yeah, one thing is we're going to only be reviewing one at a time, but because they're so new to all of us, that might take an entire episode.
We might have
There's going to be a lot of discussion.
But what benefits us is we only get like 7 episodes, and then there's a break. And so in that hiatus there, that summer break, we'll be able to catch back up on Tenet and continue on there as well. So
if you're following along at home, then we're going to launch into Tenet, and then we're going to go back and do some Sarah Jane stuff, and we'll get that posted on the website so that you can help us pick which ones.
Yep.
And then we'll go back into Tenet for School Reunion up through the Cybermen episodes, and then we'll go back and do Troughton in the 2 Cybermen's and then Earthshock as well.
Yep. Yes.
And then we'll be Matt Smith time.
Matt Smith! Woo! We're excited. Series 6. I wanted to read out one last piece of feedback this week, and this is another kudos to you here, Sean. Hello, this is Mark Lee. It says, hello, me again.
Hi, Mark.
I was running over the episode and found the Ode to the Merca. It was brilliant. So I decided to make this for you. It's not very good, but amusing nonetheless. So there'll be a link on the website because he made a banner for us.
It's pretty cool.
And it is very cool. If you click on here, it's got the Merca. It says, Pure Misunderstood Nightmare. Poor Misunderstood Nightmare from the Abyss. And it's got him staring into the vortex.
Oh, that is so cool!
What's that thing that they look into. The Untempered Schism, is that what it is?
Yeah.
And then it's got Matt Smith's TARDIS over here on this side. So isn't that neat? So I'm going to post this.
Dude, that's our logo. That's what we need right
there.
there.
You go. Absolutely. So Mark, we really enjoyed that. That's very, very cool.
Mark, this is my first time seeing it. That is so cool.
That's why I wanted to wait. I was hoping you hadn't seen it yet because I wanted you ready.
I don't get into that. I can't figure out how to make this work.
Technical Neanderthal, as he says.
Yeah.
He goes on to say, which this is what made me revisit this email because we were just talking about things that we're going to do and ideas. And he asks, also whilst I'm here, I have a quick question. Will you guys ever be doing reviews for multiple Doctor stories, i.e. the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, the 2 Doctors, Dimensions in Time, Time Crash?
Oh, hell yeah.
So, yeah, we are definitely going there, Mark. It may not be soon enough for you, but I think eventually when we get to Time Crash, while we're watching the Tenet episodes, that might be the opportunity to go back and watch the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, 2 Doctors, obviously. But I don't know about Dimensions. Although it's so short. We
could get away
yeah,
with
we
that,
could.
yeah.
It's only an 8-minute total. I think it's 4 minutes and 4 minutes. So we could get away with that, yeah. So, definitely, Mark, we eventually are going to go down that road. We're eventually going to watch, eventually we're going to have Keith watch everything, and everything that Sean and I have never seen, we'll catch up on as well.
Well, you know what's sad? I'm really, really looking forward to the Troughton episodes when we do those, because I don't think I've ever seen them. And this is going to sound really bad, but the more research I do into this, the more I begin to realize I'm pretty sure my first and potentially only exposure to Patrick Troughton is the 5 Doctors.
Well, even the 3 Doctors?
I've seen most of it, but it's been a long time ago. And I saw it after the 5.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that my first taste of Patrick Troughton was from you on VHS. You had Tomb of the Cybermen, I believe it was.
Well, yeah, just because I owned it doesn't mean...
Well, no, absolutely. In fact, there's a lot of stuff that I owned or still own that I haven't seen, but... so you had access to it, by the way, at some point.
Yeah,
but
no. Well, I still have access to it. I have it on DVD now.
Yeah, you're the reason I actually got to see some Patrick Troughton. So in the early days. So that's thanks to you.
Well, I'm glad I inspired you.
I have seen Moonbase and I have seen Invasion as well. But I'm looking forward to revisiting those as well. So
yeah, no, I'm jazzed. So
well, if you want to send us some feedback, you can send it to travelingthevortex@gmail.com. Stop on by our webpage, travelingthevortex.blogspot.com. You can find us on Twitter @TravelVortex or on Facebook at facebook.com/travelingthevortex. We also have a Google Voice number that Glenn is now pulling up.
He didn't prepare me. I didn't know he was going to launch into this.
Well, this is
the
right time.
That's
to
absolutely
do it.
No. This is right. The Google Voice number is 913-890-3025. That's a regular phone in the United States. I don't know.
It's not that hard a number.
I tried to come up with an easy number.
I don't memorize numbers anymore.
You have to reserve your number and out of certain numbers, and I tried to make some clever words fit together that was really cool, and I just never could do it with a 913 number, and unfortunately, and so anyway, that's what we have. But anyway, 913-890-3025. Write it down. Give us a call. You can give us audio feedback that way. You can also send us audio feedback by the way.
Oh, and you can find the number on our webpage.
Yeah, absolutely. Why didn't I go there to look it up? Why did I go around? I did a roundabout way to go look for it, but it's on the website. Yeah, it's on our Blogspot page, so definitely go there to look it up. Yeah. And we call you the technical Neanderthal.
Maybe you're too advanced in technology that you don't think simply
that
enough.
That could be. Maybe I was thinking too difficult.
Or maybe I'm rubbing off on you guys.
Oh, Sean's bringing us down.
Well, on our website, we posted this year's Red Nose Day specials and ones from the 90s of Curse of the Fatal Death.
Curse of Fatal Death.
Of Fatal
it's
Death.
Not of the.
No, it's not of
it's
the.
the Curse of
No, it's just Curse of Fatal
not
Death.
Curse?
Yeah,
no, it's the.
I thought it was the Curse.
The Curse of
that
Fatal
does say
Death.
Yeah, it's the Curse of Fatal Death.
But there's only one. It's the Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah. Which I think it's funny because death's already fatal. So that's the first thing that's funny. Red Nose Day, ha! Yeah, the Curse of Fatal Death. Yeah.
Which, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch these, head on over. They are really entertaining, really funny. They're written by Stephen Moffat.
Yeah, interesting.
And
Before he wrote anything, Doctor Who, he wrote Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah, and this takes place, allegedly, after the movie.
Eighth Doctor, yeah.
Yeah.
This would be his... There it
this-
is, okay. I was just saying, because then I thought, the title, I got to bring the title credits up here, because I didn't remember seeing the in that, but it sure does. The Curse of Fatal Death.
Well, let's talk about Curse of Fatal Death.
Yeah, let's start out with that.
Your first experience with Rowan Atkinson as the Doctor.
I would have been okay if you would have continued as the Doctor.
I thought he was a terrific
did
Doctor.
really
now,
good.
Rowan Atkins, I'm used to him doing, Mr. Bean, the Black Adder.
Of course, he was being a bit funnier than I think he probably would have been as the actual
absolutely,
Doctor.
absolutely. But I think Rowan Atkins can also play serious. I think he can also play straight. And I could easily, if you took out the jokes and the punchlines out of it, I could easily see him as an incarnation of the Doctor.
Yeah.
I thought it worked fine. But again, Rowan Atkins is such a great actor and such a great comedic actor that he, again, was perfect in it. The timing of the jokes, everything is wonderfully done. And I'm glad that he is the most FaceTime as the Doctor, because he really, really sold that part.
Yeah,
it was
he
a
did.
lot of fun. Jonathan Price
Oh,
as the Master.
Brilliant.
Another piece of brilliant casting. Why didn't we see him instead of Eric Roberts in the movie? That would have been great. He totally embodied the spirit and the idea of the Master, but then was able to carry out the comedic element that they were adding for this Red Nose Day special. I loved it. It was fantastic. And then, of course, the idea of the Doctor bumbling through his last regenerations because, he keeps shocking himself. Silly.
He didn't unplug it.
And us getting Richard Grant as one of the Doctors, Jim Broadbent as one of the Doctors,
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant as one of the Doctors, and then I can't remember the gal's name, but
Patsy from Ab.
yeah, Patsy from Ab.
That's what everyone will know her from.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Lauren Lumley? Laura Lumley.
That might be.
I want to say Joanne Lumley.
Maybe it's Joanne.
I want to say it's Joanne.
Well, if you know, send us feedback too. We can easily look it up, but we don't want to wiki it right now. But yeah, no. So that was neat, and being the last regeneration, or the pseudo rebirth, I guess, was regenerating into a time lady. So I thought that was very clever.
Which would be a very interesting element. It'd be almost a Hut aspect to the Doctor, where they use up their lives, they regenerate as a woman, and then they
then
could
start another
repopulate.
13 regenerations that way. Okay, well,
and then they could actually have kids and repopulate the.
that's intriguing. I don't know that I would like to see that.
So is William
but that's
Hartnell the
intriguing.
first, or was he a woman previously? And that's,
Well, if you
where
subscribe,
Susan came from.
if you subscribe to that theory, perhaps.
This is just this particular cycle of the circle of life. I don't know. and speaking of circles and cycles, who else but Stephen Moffat could have pulled off?
Oh,
I went back in time and bribed the architect before you bribed the architect.
Yeah. Again, it's time now in a funny way.
oh,
But it's time. What do we call it? Just looping around
Folding
itself.
on
Yeah,
itself.
folding on itself. And he does it so great. And he's done it since the beginning. Since the first thing he wrote for Doctor Who, he's been doing it since then. Which I thought was wonderful.
Oh, there were just so many good gags in this entire movie.
yeah.
Or special. The way alien planet communicates, and then what happened to them? They found fire.
And isn't it interesting?
And then it
that's a
comes
gag.
back up.
That's a huge gag in this. It's like, okay, they fart, specially controlled gastric emissions, and it's a gag, and yet here we are, how many years later, and we actually get episodes with aliens where that happens, and it's not so much of a gag anymore.
No, well, but the problem is that type of humor, context around the type of show that it is, which the comic relief special is, it works. It's funny.
It totally works.
It's
in
funny.
one
It's in its element,
and not so much in the other.
And it's an exact demonstration of why it doesn't work outside of that. Even if I don't have a problem with Doctor Who taking some comedic elements and being light and having moments, but you can't there's certain types of comedy that you can't insert into a drama and make it work, and that's not one. But I loved it in this. I mean, it worked. It was funny. It didn't go over the top, though, toilet humor. It seems like
Oh, no,
sometimes
it's
you can
just
really
subtle.
you can really get
I mean, if-
over the top with fart jokes.
If they
and
would have
bathroom
added
humor
the
and things like that.
sound,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
it would have been over the
Might have
top.
been
The
too
fact
much.
that they
Yeah.
were silent, it wasn't too much.
Right, absolutely.
And the look on Jonathan Price's face when he's trying to decipher the message.
Well, and when the companion accidentally
Sorry, that one was me.
messes up the translation because she pops one out as well. So, yeah, no, that was neat. A lot
Can
of
we
fun.
simulcast a podcast in Tercerin?
We don't have smell-o-vision yet.
No,
Oh,
wouldn't be smell-o-vision. It'd be smell.
Well,
smelling
Smell audio.
Smell audio. Copyright Sienna Circle. It's travelingthevortex.com.
But I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It was a lot of fun.
It's just fun.
It's good. And if you ever get a chance to, now I don't believe it was released on VHS in the UK. It's never been released in the United States. I don't believe it's even been released on DVD in the UK. Now I'm sure there's some sort of copyright issues there as far as they probably the actors probably appeared pro bono because it was probably done for
Yeah.
all the proceeds go to Red Nose Day, so they volunteer their time so that money's going. And I'm sure there's probably legal rights there as to how the money that's collected for a sale of that work would then go on. I know that the iTunes store in the UK released it on iTunes, and I saw one of the news sites say Curse of Fatal Death on iTunes, and I went, yeah, and immediately went there, and it wasn't available on the America store. So, not able to get it that way, but hopefully someday.
Luckily, they posted it to their website.
Yeah, absolutely. It was on the website,
Which was
and
great.
it wasn't region locked, so people in the
Yeah.
United States got. Which I think that draws attention because we as United States citizens can donate to Red Nose Day, and it goes to a good cause. Goes to the needy in the UK and across Africa, and I think other countries now. I think they've sort of expanded. So they're soliciting money from the world. It's not just UK
Yeah.
citizens, even though it's England-centric kind
Base.
of thing. But so it was nice that it wasn't region locked. We were able to watch it, and if we wanted to donate, we could go there as well and donate to the Red Nose Day site.
Definitely.
So.
I'm sure Terry Nation his estate would probably have a pretty sizable slice of that pie.
I think
too.
so because there's a lot
There's
of
a lot
dollars.
of
and as Keith pointed out, the three in front of the one shot where the doctor and the companion run into the room, and they're just masses in that one room, that the three in the front actually are three-dimensional, and the rest look like cutouts, or they're at least two-dimensional, but they are moving
Yeah,
back there.
they're CGI.
Yeah, they're CGI because they're moving and looking around. So it wasn't quite as bad as the cardboard cutouts that didn't move and do anything in the
Yeah.
Daleks and Daleks Invasion of Earth.
Which in
Oh, far how technology has come.
But, yeah, no, a lot of fun, and we enjoyed it. And, of course, now that brings us to
this
year's.
year's, which was a lot of fun also.
Yeah, it was.
But it was more plausible. I mean, you could almost see
more
it
in the
as,
realm of reality. It
Yeah.
wasn't a tongue-in-cheek comedy. It wasn't a farce. It was more of a light episode, or
Definitely,
mini
yeah.
episode
Well,
of
well,
Doctor
mini
Who.
episode
It certainly fits
with a
within
lot of
canon,
comedic
I
elements.
believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I would totally see this as the logical progression of where we left off with A Christmas Carol,
yeah.
and leading into, Curse of Fatal Death is very obviously a
Of course, it was also during the
Elseworld
wilderness.
story,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Right, right.
where it's like, okay, that was cool. That's not, it couldn't be, but this felt like an episode.
Yeah.
It was funny, but it still had that.
Yeah, it works
We're
within the
within
realm.
the confines of Doctor Who, and it totally worked.
Owen even had a couple of serious moments in it. Like when he's explaining what's going on, he's not doing it.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
not. It's not
Yeah,
done
so-
in a joking way. It's a very this is what has happened. It's funny though that the TARDIS within a TARDIS.
We just talked
happens.
about that recently.
And
didn't we?
I just watched Logopolis, and that's one of the elements is the fact that they materialize around a police box, so that the Doctor can take measurements and get precise measurements of a police box, so
That's
they can
right.
fix the TARDIS.
He's trying to fix the chameleon
And
circuit.
he actually materializes around the Master's TARDIS, and so that he gets this anomaly where you've got a TARDIS within a TARDIS, and then it's the same concept where he and Adric keep walking in and come in another door into another layer of a dimension, within the TARDIS. And I had just watched this, and then turn around in this episode, and I thought, wow, what would we call it? What was it called? Serendipity. Serendipitous. He always says serendipity. He always says serendipitous. I had to get both of you to say it, but it was what a coincidence that I just watched that, and I tweeted out. You never see it's. Or I said it's odd to see a police box inside the TARDIS. And I said, it's even more odd to see a TARDIS inside the TARDIS. And then this comes out, and I was like, wow, I was blown away at just how coincidental that was.
And
I
how
just
well they did it.
And thank God that the new control room they built was big enough to accommodate it. Because there are certain... I just watched Hand of Fear, which I've never been a fan of that particular version of the control room. That was the dark paneling, tiny console. It's not aesthetically pleasing in any way.
Not a good desktop.
Not a good desktop. And I don't think you could fit a police box in that room.
No, I suppose you could.
There's just no room for it. And so when they stand, and I love the multi-layered room and everything about it, and the fact that you can turn, and there it is, and it just kind of gave that added element of... And allowed them to shoot the TARDIS from a different angle, too.
From up on high.
From up on high, which I just like, because so frequently, especially with the old series... It would show up and it was just very static, boom, there it is. And it kind of almost felt like a cardboard cutout of the TARDIS at times. And so this was just a little added dimension to it that I thought was very cool. But loved the episode. Oh. Loved the humor in it.
The stuff with Amy's skirt was hilarious.
Loved Amy's skirt.
Yeah. Now we have to mention, because Sean had pointed out that some people are feeling that it's a little too, how did you put it...
There apparently have been some complaints about the way it was handled because they felt it objectified Amy. A bit too much. And I can certainly see that.
I can see that point of view. I don't think it went
it
out of its way to objectify. Either. No, and it didn't. Because
that's the thing.
Amy has been the, obviously, object of the adult humor that's injected into the series. And I don't know. I mean, I could see that it did. I don't think it went over the top objectifying her. But I could see that opinion and how some people might have been,
especially since
unimpressed by that.
She's been this way since episode 1.
Yeah,
that she appeared in with the policewoman outfit.
Well, the kissogram,
and just the way that played out, and then of course the whole coming on to the doctor and all of those kinds of things. That's just Amy's character.
Right.
That's
she
just
acts
who
a bit
is.
promiscuous, and
and so having Rory be part of that just totally made sense.
Well, it worked out now because they're married.
It
doesn't because they're married. I mean, that's...
and is that really any worse than having them both come out in costume on the spaceship at
Absolutely,
Christmas Carol?
Yeah,
we're just having a bit of fun.
We've already been there. We've done that.
I felt it was just a variation on the theme.
Absolutely.
And they're still on their honeymoon.
And if they want us to believe their love for each other, and he doesn't make some sort of comment about there being two of them, that's not believable.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
There is no newly married couple that if there were two of the other partner wouldn't say, "Oh yeah." I mean,
twins.
Yeah, that's not believable at all.
Yeah.
So,
well, in that sense, you're not cheating because it's the same person.
Exactly.
And how much fun was it? This to me is. Yes, fun. Yes, Red Nose Day. Okay, cool, yay. So much looking forward to season 6 now. Because Amy and Rory are an old married couple.
Oh, they work together. They have the chemistry of a married couple.
When they're talking, and he's like, well, I let her drive the car to the end of the block, where a house appeared.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just one of those conversations you have with your significant other. And the way that worked, but then there was also the flirting aspect of this. I was like, I'm ready. Bring on more. I can't wait to see more of these two together.
Absolutely.
And the doctor really almost felt like a side note to the whole.
Oh yeah,
to the whole thing because
absolutely.
He's reacting to everything that's going on when she
Which
comes back
reactions
through
are
the
hilarious
door.
too.
Okay, tell me what's up. I just big grin on my face through the whole thing.
Me too. Enjoyed it immensely. One of the things I noticed, and we just talked about how Peter Moffat is excuse me.
Who's Peter?
Not
again?
the director. Not the director. The Stephen Moffat is really good about folding time back in itself and writing very well. Did you notice this time? Not only is he folding time back in itself, he's folding space into itself, and he proved that he can do that as well.
Yeah.
And I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now, the big conclusion of this is the wibbly wobbly timey wimey idea that's established in the Tenet area, which we'll get there as well. But that's the satisfaction of it, is just the fact that it's because I saw myself do it. I know what I'm going to do. I know which button it is.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of Time Crash, which I think did Stephen Moffat write that as well.
Time Crash as well.
Works in that element as well. But but I think he does a really good job of not only folding time but now folding space, because now you've got dimension within a dimension. So a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
The first available safe spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if we're going to come in under an hour and a half this week, we better move along and finish up Chris Eccleston's tenure as the Doctor.
I wanted to talk more about Amy's skirt.
That would be
I'm sure it'll come back.
No, well.
Okay, so first off is Boomtown. The TARDIS crew take a holiday, but the Doctor encounters an enemy that he thought long since dead. A plan to build a nuclear power station in Cardiff City disguises an alien plot to rip the world apart. And when the Doctor dines with monsters, he discovers traps within traps.
Yeah.
So the Slitheen return for this episode.
One of them, anyway.
One of them.
Mama Celine.
Yeah.
And the crack from the episode with
The Unquiet Dead.
Yeah, The Unquiet Dead returns in this episode, which I thought was a nice, almost tying up loose ends in a way.
The Rift. I think
The Rift,
The Rift becomes more of a central character throughout the series, not necessarily directly with Doctor Who, although it's still a center point. Actually works more with Torchwood, which we'll obviously introduce you to later. But the Rift is a reoccurring element within Doctor Who and Torchwood itself. So,
which I like this episode better than the two-parter that we got with the Slitheen, and the dark. You saw more of the darkness in the Doctor this episode.
Well, there was also less of the gas jokes. I mean, you didn't have to go that route.
Yeah.
We don't see the
squishy
face green marshmallow aliens as much this time.
And it almost, because she'd spent...
Hey, you started it, Sean.
I did. They're Beanie Babies. They need to make little plush with that.
You need to get Sarah on knitting a...
Oh, there we go.
She did the adipose. Now we want her to do a Slovene.
Well, and because she spent so much time among the humans, it humanized her character much more and almost made her a sympathetic character until the end. But
even at the end, you still kind of sympathize with her, and obviously the Doctor does too, because of what he allows the TARDIS to do for her. So.
Yeah.
I think in many ways, when it's very much a clothes make the man kind of story. She's been wearing this suit for so long now that even though she's up to no good and being dastardly, that there is an element of humanity that's crept into this character. And I think some of the best alien reflection stories are those ones where you really kind of get to know thy enemy and how bad are they really. And this one had that in spades. I really liked it. I thought, you definitely get some Dark Doctor in this one. But overall, I thought this one was a very light episode. Even though it was dealing with very weighty themes, especially the dinner conversation. There were
the
a
first
lot of
half
moments.
was light.
The first half especially.
The second half was very heavy, very dark.
I think it is about 50-50. It's very light starting out. Fun. We're having some light moments. Yeah, but
we're out enjoying.
Once the date happens, I think that's where it gets very weighty.
It turns.
Well, pretty much once they discover, and she tells them, "If you take me back home, they're going to kill me."
Right.
That's pretty much tonal shift.
Yeah, absolutely.
At that point,
absolutely.
I mean, everyone's. You can tell, not necessarily their energy went down, but their.
I think it was definitely a buzzkill moment.
Sure.
But just seeing Jack run around the city hall or whatever it was, and them chasing her through windows, and even Mickey getting a moment to really kind of not be Mickey the idiot.
Yeah.
Which I found another element of this interesting was the fact that he started seeing someone else and was moving on, but yet
And Rose gets a twinge of jealousy at that point, because now, so far it's been Mickey jealous of the Doctor. The fact that, at least the relationship Rose has with the Doctor.
Well, and then once he sees Jack, more jealousy of Jack.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you reference again to the Doctor's big ears.
Yes.
I like how they keep poking fun at different physical aspects.
Right. Yeah. So,
I just love Jack.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another thing. Even though Jack doesn't really shine so much in this, I mean, there's nice elements and with the big chase and everything, but I mean, he gets relegated to the TARDIS, for the second half while Doctor goes off on the date.
But I don't mind that aspect. I like the fact that Jack's a companion who could take apart an interspatial surfboard and gets it.
Yeah,
that
was my weak moment of it. The interspatial surfboard was kind of that was a bit.
Yeah, it's Doctor Who. You let it go.
Yeah, I did. I just let it go. Is what I did. There was enough elements in here that in this episode that I thought, it's good. But
and again with the Bad Wolf, Blarth Doog.
This is the first episode where they reference the fact that Bad Wolf has been following them. Which I didn't realize, but
it wasn't until this episode either that they kind of started to hammer it home.
Yeah,
and it was subconsciously there. I knew that.
And even in this episode, the Doctor says, "Nah, it's just a coincidence."
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first time I noticed Bad Wolf and it clicked with me was when the kid scrawls it on the side. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I wondered what it was at that point, but then there's just very
way
little.
To hit us in the face with it, because it's not just spray paint. He's spray painting the side of the TARDIS. What are you doing, kid?
But that's a turning moment. That wait a minute, this has been a common theme through this season. So, thank you. It is warm in here. Sean is fanning himself with a magazine. That was the brief moment of pause there.
Did I get? If you hear that on mic,
that feels good though.
Your heat's turned off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, it's just warm in here tonight.
Well, it's warm outside.
It is warm.
Well, spring has sprung. The snow has melted. We went through all this. Weren't you here for that?
Where was I for that? Anything else about Moontown?
There's not much more I could say. I like the conclusion. I like the ending. The heart of the TARDIS sets up. I had forgotten until rewatching this that it was a nice little
foreshadow.
There you go, foreshadowing of what's coming up. So but let's go ahead and move on.
Bad Wolf. The Doctor, Rose, and Captain Jack have to fight for their lives on board the game station, but a far more dangerous threat is lurking just out of sight. The Doctor realizes that the entire human race has been blinded to the threat on its doorstep, and Armageddon is fast approaching. And finally, the parting of the ways. Rose Tyler has seen dangers and wonders alongside the Doctor, but now their friendship is put to the test as Earth plunges into an epic war with the human race being slaughtered. The Doctor is forced into terrible action. Will the time travelers ever be reunited?
Da-na-na.
Well, I had when we discussed before how I had seen some random episodes, and apparently I'd seen at least of Eccleston 2, and this was one of them where I remembered about 3/4 of the episode, but I never saw the end. And of course now it makes a whole lot more sense of the fact that we revisit this space station that we did earlier in the season, even though it's 100 years later, and the Bad Wolf, when he stops and looks at that and realizes that, and then the reveal at the end of the first episode of it's the Daleks behind all of this, which was a really nice reveal. And in a way, they could have shown them sooner, because as soon as you saw through that eye stalk, you knew what we're dealing with. And they still skirted around. Is it really? Is it really? No, it's obvious. It's the Daleks.
Yeah. And because we talked about that it's like I love that they always try to pull the wool over our eyes with there it is, the reveal. But they were in the episode title, so we knew it was coming. And this felt kind of the same way. It was the eye stalk. Okay, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why are you trying to keep this a secret from me now? Just go.
Just reveal it now.
There's no other enemy that could be but the Daleks.
Absolutely.
And then the second half was phenomenal. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about the regeneration, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Just everything that happened, and the Doctor sending Rose back to her time, and her trying to find a way and fight back, and the fact that Bad Wolf was actually a message to Rose of how to get back, was so well done.
Mm-hmm.
I was thoroughly impressed by it.
Yeah, it holds a common thread in there enough that it's believable that's why it was the TARDIS that had set all this up and was to basically show the way back to save the Doctor, and that was neat. I like that. I like the fact that Jackie has a moment of okay, no, you're not going to go back. You're not going to go back. Don't leave. Don't go back.
Well, and
there.
Mickey before her.
All right, yeah, and Mickey even so too. Yeah, so it really kind of explores their change of heart.
Yeah,
and I liked that. That was a neat moment as well. Was it the one? Is that where she pulls up in the truck? Yeah. She gets the truck from some guy she'd been dating or whatever, and they hook the chain up.
Well, and the nice conversation they had between Rose and Jackie about her dad, and Rose telling her how she went and met her dad, and who do you think that blonde girl was? It was me. That was a very touching scene.
It was.
It really tied so many threads throughout
this
the
season.
season.
Yeah, it really did.
And did it so well. And I remember this is one of those cases where the opening part of Bad Wolf, the whole idea of the game station, I felt I was not excited about it.
No, I wasn't.
I liked it.
God, we're doing reality. First of all, reality TV sucks. Game shows suck. Why
we
are
weren't
we
even
doing
this far
that?
along now where they really suck.
But,
This was not 2005 when they were just kind of starting their heyday, at least in the United States.
Yeah, man, they still suck. But, there was a part of me that was very, very anti. Oh, why are we doing this? Why are you making this? It almost felt like social commentary on the whole thing. Now, okay, they put enough of a spin on it and revealed enough of the plot that it's like, okay. But it was one of those episodes that it started off in one place and then wound up totally not where I thought they were going to go with it, which I was very happy with that. Yeah. And it did work. And there were a lot of great moments. Obviously, Jack. Got to talk about Jack. And obviously it's Mel's favorite part of the thing is when whatever disintegrates clothes.
I think it's called the clothes disintegrator, isn't it? A clothing disintegrator or something to that effect?
There was not a whole lot
Dematerializer.
of dematerializer.
Yeah, the clothing
dematerializer. Their ratings just went up 10 points.
So am I naked live on national television? Yes, you are. Well, your ratings just went up.
God love Jack.
Oh,
but this was actually kind of something, and you and I had talked about this, and I kind of wanted to get your impression on this. I really felt, and I mentioned to Glenn when I was going through watching, because he had watched all of this stuff earlier, and he's like, I can't believe you're not watching the new Doctor Who, and I was kind of compiling so that I could mainline them. And so we got to this episode, and I made the comment, I was like, have you noticed how much of the action is centered on Earth, in Earth orbit, around Earth, different time frames, but it's very Earth-centered.
Yeah, it is.
And it really made me wonder, what's left? Because we've established there's been a time war. How much of the universe is still out there?
Yeah.
And maybe there isn't much left. Maybe this is one little pocket of the universe that's not cinders and left and destroyed. And I kind of felt that was where this really kind of helped establish that feeling for me. I don't know if anybody else felt that way.
I just felt like we were being slave to Earth, and I didn't like it.
No, every single episode.
Yeah,
I just went through. Yeah, it's not.
There's no. I mean, well, we presume they go back to Rex to Fella.
But
that's
we
off.
don't see it.
Yeah, that's
off
screen.
It's off screen, so we don't know how big the sandbox is that we're playing at this point. And it wasn't so much being slave to Earth. It just felt like to me that is there a reason for this? I mean, other than allowing us to keep the ties with Rose and the family going, is there maybe a little more nefarious? Now, of course, we've established now that no, that's not the case. That just for whatever reason they slaved us to Earth for a while. But
it's certainly cheaper to do location shooting.
and let's reuse the set that we just used.
Well, and so many of the elements were set up for either Boomtown or these two episodes too.
Yeah,
because really thinking back, the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack is the addition for the later episodes.
Absolutely.
And
The Long Game is
The
a
Long
direct
Game,
sequel, basically.
Yeah. I mean, Father's Day gives them motivation. I mean, they did such a good job tying everything together.
The Slitheen
And the two-parter.
brings back the element of Mama Slitheen, and then to push in the bad wolf element that's been also the continuing theme.
Dalek.
Yeah, Dalek gets looped back up on us.
I mean, aside from the introduction of Rose and the end of the world.
But see, Rose introduced us to all of our characters, so that works as well.
I mean, so really,
Unquiet Dead's really the only one that's
but
kind
you
of
have to
and
say
End of the World.
the Rift.
That's true. The Rift is there.
is reintroduced in the Long Game. So,
so
or
only,
not the Long Game. The
aside from the
Boomtown.
the references to the face of Bo in the last two episodes, that's the End of the World's the only one that doesn't have a direct tie to everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't have a problem with the fact that they were slave to Earth because they tied it all together so well.
Yeah, no,
No, just the overall feeling of it.
Yeah.
Because especially you've seen enough old school Doctor Who now that it's a new planet, with the exception of the Pertwee era. It's a new planet and a new problem and a new this and a new time, and it's just we're all. I mean, it's kind of like this show. We're just all over the map.
Well, although
but first season, it's very not.
The only classic Who I've seen that wasn't on Earth was the Daleks.
that's true.
Everything else I've seen
All the
is on
Pertwee
Earth.
stuff he's seen was Earthbound.
I mean,
even the
movie was Earthbound.
I don't, was Warriors of the Deep. I got the impression that wasn't Earth, or was that? Was
That
the
was
Earth? It was
Earth.
Earth in
That
the
was
future.
Earth in the
Yeah,
future.
the two civil warring factions.
Wow, we've really hamstrung you.
Yeah. We've only taken you to
And
Skaro.
really, even in Matt Smith's time, they go to the whale.
Well, the series, all of the new series, for my liking, has been way too Earthbound. It just really is. There are a few times we go outside of Earth, but we never really get off of Earth-centric planets or out of the solar system or anything like that, even up until Matt Smith's time. So
They're in there.
Which the only one I can think of off the top of my head
Tenet especially. Tenet had a...
was the library. Wasn't on Earth. I mean,
the science library in
Force of the Dead.
Well, obviously the Satan Pit. And,
Satan Pit, the Impossible Planet.
Impossible Planet.
A lot of space stations.
Well,
spaceships.
but yeah, I suppose 42 was that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not getting to explore the Planet of the Ood. I mean, that was obviously
Food Sphere.
Yeah. So, yes, we have. It still seems to be a little too.
I think it's definitely more percentage wise. I think we've got a lot more Earthbound than
we're getting kind of off topic here, but
I didn't mean to bring that up.
No, that's fine. No, I like the idea. It's intriguing. I'd never thought of it that way, and it's intriguing to hear that you formulated this possibility that there was a lot more affected by this time war than just Gallifrey and Skaro.
I retcon everything.
So it's a neat perspective to hear that and think, wow, yeah, that's intriguing that it brought you to that point where you thought there was more affected than just what little we were learning about Gallifrey being gone. And
it just really felt that way. And then for the Daleks to show up, it's like, oh, they found the bolt hole. Or the last, And that's why the Doctor keeps kicking around here, because there's nothing else out there. But that's but he maybe is like, this is I've got to protect the last vestige of the universe.
Right.
It just that's what it totally felt that way to me through it. And then of course the Dalek showed up and laid waste to everything.
And I found that this, having seen this, it makes Victory of the Daleks make so much more sense to me, because the Daleks had been destroyed. They rebuilt themselves using the human tissue.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any of that
That's right.
exposition
I hadn't
really
thought about
for
that. Yeah.
Invasion of the Dalek, or Victory of the Daleks.
Right.
So that helped.
That's why they were
explain-
impure and had to restart the...
Which in the Emperor
species.
Dalek was very interesting.
Yeah. That's why
A strange design.
Yeah, and similar to the Emperor Dalek, at least from... Well,
Bigger.
Yeah, definitely bigger. But similar in design and
I mean, it looks like a Dalek.
Yeah.
But it's open.
Right.
And you saw a lot
and
more of
he's obviously stationary. I don't think even with the panels extended the way they
No,
were.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never got the impression that those could really retract and
Right.
he would roll around anywhere.
Right. No,
Oh, no.
absolutely.
Like, he's hardwired into that ship.
Well, where else did we see Emperor Dalek? Remembrance of the Dalek, but then, of course, there's a reveal there that's... Can't go there.
There were early, wasn't there? I want to say...
Was it Planet? Planet of the Daleks had... that might have been the one that introduced...
early ones.
yeah, might have introduced the Emperor Dalek.
Which, and I found it very interesting that even the Emperor Dalek says some very human things and creates some very human ideas.
Yeah.
The idea that he thinks now he's a god is a very human idea.
Setting himself up as a deity. It's almost the Pharaoh complex is what it is.
Oh, yeah. It definitely is.
Which is a human thing there, so...
So I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
The ending's wonderful. The fact that Rose absorbs the part
I
of
don't
the
know
TARDIS,
how I feel about that.
wipes
still.
everything out. I liked it. I thought that was the epic way to take care of everything and wrap it up simply.
It almost seemed easy.
Well, but I liked it, and now the reason I liked it is because it's the first time that they easily wrapped something up in the new series. Once it's been done again, then I got a little tired of it. But
as a writer, it definitely feels a little Deus Ex Machina.
Sure.
How do we get ourselves?
Yeah.
Okay, we've unleashed all of this. They're coming. Ships are in flight. The ragtag fugitive crew of television network executives are being gunned down left and right behind that really crappy barricade they built. What now? Rose could destroy all of them.
Well,
Okay, I just.
I'm trying to think of something.
But how do you put that genie back in the bottle?
Yeah,
Once you've got to that level of holy crap,
yeah.
you got to come up with a.
I guess that's why it worked for me, because it got so grand and epic, and it felt like there was nothing that could have been done to fix this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost this isn't even a good example because I thought he did it so well in the series finale of Buffy. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I haven't seen it.
Well, essentially, Willow becomes super powerful and unleashes the ability to make any woman that could potentially be the Slayer, make them become the Slayer. And it almost feels like, oh, we need something to kind of amp it up.
Punch it home, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's not a good example. I'm trying to think of, because I thought of something when I was watching, I was like, oh, it's kind of like that, and now I can't think of it.
Well, it's in a way it counterparts the Emperor Dalek. Thinking he's a god. Rose is pretty much given godlike powers. And the dialogue was great when she reaches out, I divide you, and they just and disintegrate into, beyond nothingness. Mm-hmm. She's undone the molecules that make them up, and I was really impressed with the way it was done.
She brought Jack back to life.
Yeah.
And I wonder if she brought others back to life too.
Don't know yet. but we know Jack's back.
The way things wind up,
Which
I'm led to believe no.
Yeah.
That Jack's the only one she had a personal enough connection to that she brought him back.
Which it makes me wonder.
Potential consequences.
There's been references to the fact that Captain Jack's immortal. Is he immortal because of what Rose did?
I think we can safely answer that.
Yeah, we can safely answer that one.
Is
We
it
believe
yes?
that's the.
Yeah,
we don't know.
that's what's
We don't know for
implied.
sure. Oh, okay.
Heavily implied is that's the reason.
Oh, good. I picked that up before I even.
And
I'm
we-
told he's immortal.
Yeah.
We don't know why Captain Jack is immortal, but we believe that he probably was not until this defining moment. And
Okay.
now all of a
Right.
sudden.
Well, then I appreciate the fact that it does have ramifications later on. Then that changes my opinion of it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that the Doctor took it from her to save her.
Yes.
And then that caused his
Untimely death.
Yes.
And regeneration.
And didn't you feel, though, that at that moment when he was reaching out to Rose and he's like, and no one's meant to do that, this is, again, what really sold it for me, that Eccleston was beginning to possibly feel like he didn't really want to leave. the way this was played out,
Well,
his
and
acting was
the
so
look he
good.
gave Rose when he put her on the TARDIS was a dead man walking look.
Yeah.
I mean, he nailed that look so much, and it was almost so personal for him that this is ending my run as a doctor, and I don't want to leave now. I could totally see that.
I guess I didn't read all that into any of that. Just to me, it was a really good actor putting on a really good performance.
Maybe it was wishful thinking. I don't know.
Maybe.
There was definitely a part of me that did not want to. I mean, with any doctor, when you get attached to him, you don't want to see him go. And when they kind of set that up that, oh, this is it. I mean, obviously we knew this is the last episode of his first and only season. So something's got to happen.
But not when it aired.
Yeah, I knew. I think.
Yeah, no, well, he left the series a whole year before it aired in the United States.
Well, I mean,
so
in the UK, though, they wouldn't have known.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
in
no,
the UK,
they
I personally
they knew
knew.
it was the last episode.
Yeah.
It had been announced weeks and weeks before that. I think, that he was. I think it leaked actually in one of the. It's been so long ago, I can't remember, but I think it leaked somewhere, and the BBC had nothing they could do but confirm it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But still, like I said, maybe it's wishful thinking on my part because I didn't want to see Eccleston go. I thought he really brought some just interesting traits to the Doctor, the role, the way he played him. I loved all of that, but I really feel like as the show progressed and the writing, I think, got stronger as the episodes got a little bit better. I think he kind of got to that point where it's like, maybe I don't want to leave. Maybe I'm not ready to let this go yet. I'm having fun now, and I don't know that he looked at it that way. I'd be very interested to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I would die for an interview with Christopher Eccleston to ask him that. How did this affect you? Did you grow on the show as it progressed? I mean, you went into it with kind of one mindset, and the early episodes, I think, definitely.
I mean, you can almost see a
Fit
shift
that mindset.
in the character and his portrayal of it throughout as the series progresses.
I think he really started to get those shoes worn
Maybe
in.
you've influenced me too much in that opinion.
Maybe I have. I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I have nothing to say in that. I just I'd have to wait until you talk to him and find out if that's in fact true. I don't know. I guess I just saw a really great performance out of a great actor.
There's no denying that. I don't want to take
definitely.
anything away from his performance because he was outstanding. And Christopher, if you're listening, feedback would let me know. If anybody knows Christopher and says no, they got it way off base, please call us and tell us.
Absolutely.
Well, and I liked Tennant's first line. No teeth. That's always weird.
Isn't that just?
That sets his tone.
It does.
It really does.
It really does. So nailed it right off the bat.
And just from what I've seen of Tennant, that totally nails his
It does.
tone.
It really does.
And it's one of those things that you don't think about. It's just, hey, I'm in a new body, and you look in the mirror. You quantum leap it. You look in the mirror, you check your ID. Okay, this is who I am now, and you kind of go with it. But new teeth, and then he's off on something.
Yeah.
Just the reaction that he had was great.
I've only seen the very little bit of Tennant's I have, but he looked really young.
Well, yeah, he was in the role for 4 years. 4 years. So he.
I mean,
he aged a bit.
Really young.
I thought he did
to
too.
me.
He's got different hair too, quite different hair.
Tennant's doctor
he went
evolves
through
a lot.
that. Yeah, he went through all these different hairstyles. Well, not different, but the subtle differences and changes in his hairstyle over the years. That it was odd for me to go back and watch that episode and go, oh, well, he looks quite different than I remember, or than his last time I'd seen him. You know,
Well, and seeing him in the jacket too is
yes,
weird.
That's a bit odd.
So,
That's a bit odd. Yeah.
Anytime you see your doctor, we discussed this with
Yeah.
Peter Davidson when he's running around in the whatever radiation suit or whatever. It's just anytime you see your doctor and he's not wearing his costume, it's like, what are you doing? what is this? No, wrong.
Seeing just watching Logopolis and seeing the Fifth Doctor set up, and he's still got the, and even I haven't watched Castrovalva lately, but thank you. But just even remembering that and him, walking around and tearing up the scarf and walking around in the Fourth Doctor's outfit is just weird.
It's just weird.
It's just weird to see somebody in that other outfit.
And now going back and watching the 11th Hour, it's weird to see the
to
Raggedy
see
Doctor.
11, yeah.
You see his action figure. They've got the Matt Smith in the David Tennant outfit when he first arrives, and it's like, what?
Yeah, that's just looks wrong.
Yeah.
I know what that is.
Exactly. It's
What?
just wrong.
It just
though.
you just can't seem to get
Yeah.
It causes a momentary shifting of gears to do that.
It really
Yeah,
does.
absolutely.
It really does.
So overall, you're impressed with Eccleston?
I liked Eccleston. I went to our local library here in Topeka and found some Eccleston books. I know they're not canon, but they're
Because Keith just can't let go of 9 yet.
Apparently not. Well, I was looking for 11 books, but I couldn't find
Those
them.
aren't in our library yet.
Yeah,
We'll have to
so-
put requests in.
Yeah,
for
Barnes
those.
and Noble has them.
Yeah, they do.
I might have to buy them. We'll have to see. But so I picked up a couple so I can. I was looking for some new books to read. I was like, oh, I'll look for some Doctor Who books. Oh, look, Eccleston books. Look, Tennant books. Can't touch those. Okay, Eccleston, let's go with these.
I'd be really
Now-
curious to know what the response you get off of this, because I've read, and Glenn seems to think that I've read a huge amount of Doctor Who fiction, which I haven't. The books that I had growing up, I bought the novelizations of the episodes. It was the Target, which I always thought it was the chain of stores here in the States, which it isn't. Target apparently is a publishing
Target is a
group.
publishing.
But they have the same logos. It's got to be the same, right? But I used to, and I just, because you look, there's that cover and that, because we didn't have VHS copies.
Right.
We didn't have it, so that was kind of the only link to keeping that going.
Right.
And then the Five Doctors one came out with a foil hologram cover, and it was like, yeah! And it was cool. But I read a bunch of those. I've really only read, I think, 2 actual fiction books. And one of them I remember being really good, and one of them, not so good. It's a little bit like I don't know, Indiana Jones for me. There's certain I've tried reading the Indiana Jones books, and it's like that has to be visual. There's just something about Indiana Jones.
I would
as a
think
character
Doctor Who would translate well to book,
and I'd be
much like Star Wars does.
I'd be curious to know if you get that impression, because maybe I just read the wrong ones. Maybe the ones that I had picked up.
And I know the library has a classic Doctor book.
Yeah.
I can't remember which. I want to say it's a Pertwee book.
Well, and it may also be a difference in era. Because obviously these are going to be the new era versus the ones that I read, which were not.
I mean, they. I would hope the writing style would be to match the current era.
Yeah.
As opposed to the
Well,
classic
and
era.
that's what I was going to bring up. And you're clearly, I'm not picking on you here, but you're saying you found 2 Eccleston books. You found 2 Ninth Doctor books. Is what you did.
Yeah.
Because here's the difference between the TV series and the books. Is now if the author of those books hasn't written that character the way that Eccleston has developed it, it's not going to work.
That's very true.
Yeah, so I think that's what you have to be careful of when you go into not novelizations, into else stories within the universe. If they're written very much like Christopher Eccleston played that Doctor, if they play off of that, it works for me as a Ninth Doctor. If they don't, and they deviate even so slightly from the way Eccleston played that role, it's not going to work as a novel.
What gives me hope on it is on the back it says, featuring the Doctor and Rose as played by Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper.
Well,
which makes it sound like they tried to write it to be Christopher
to me,
Eccleston.
that makes it sound like, we need to advertise this. So it's the Doctor as played by, I mean, it's
but they put their image
more
on
like
the cover.
it sounds a little more like a marketing blurb to me, but I can see where maybe you're being hopeful for.
Maybe I'm grabbing at straws. But
I have read, because I'm a Star Trek fan, I have read a ton of the Star Trek fiction that's out there, and I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of the novels. And that is so frustrating. You get one and you look at the cover and you read the premise on the back and you're like, oh, wow, okay, this sounds cool. And you start reading it and you get a couple chapters into it, and then Scotty shows up and delivers a line, and it's not something that Scotty would say.
Yeah.
The dialogue is off, and it just shatters
the
illusion of what they've created so far. And from that moment on, the rest of the book doesn't flow as good for me.
I would agree.
Anytime you get one that works, it's gold.
Well,
you hold on to it. But
the ones that work are the ones that are written by cast members. I think all but one of the books that I read, I haven't read all of Shatner's that he's written, but all but one of the Shatner ones that I've read, I thoroughly enjoyed, because I felt like William Shatner got how everybody would have played, especially Kirk, because he's the embodiment of Kirk. But
and a lot of credit to that to Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens, who I have to mention because I've met them. They know it. They know their stuff.
Yes,
Peter David's
absolutely.
another author who, amazingly, I think he wrote the second book that came out for Next Gen. And it's like the series hasn't even aired yet. All he's got is the script Bible. Go write a book. And he turned in a book that not only worked as a Star Trek story, but worked as that's who these people are. You didn't know who they were, but he got it.
That's nice that you're able to dumb luck, get it.
Yeah.
And now that goes. That
I think
probably.
Peter Davidson's just good enough. He gets it.
But that probably attributes to the writing style and maybe how the
Who wrote this
actors adapted to the writing style of the writers that wrote the original scripts for the show. Maybe they said, okay, they worked more off that and didn't they? I mean, obviously early on they didn't have a chance to make the characters their own.
Yeah.
They're going based on words on a page.
Yeah.
And what the backstory of this character is that's been written for them. So that
One
might
of the
be
most
a
interesting
testament to
things
that.
I'd ever heard was Jonathan Frakes commented as Next Gen was entering or finalizing their 7th season and winding down. He said, "I would absolutely love the opportunity to go back and redo season 1 and play these characters as we know them now, because we would have done things completely differently."
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I thought about that for a minute. I was like, how true is that for any television show that you get that evolution of character?
Yeah.
Who wrote these, by the way, Keith?
Well, the books I picked up were The Clockwise Man by Justin Richards
Another great title.
and The Monsters Inside by Stephen Cole. So if anybody's read these and they're not very good, let me know so I don't have to bother reading them.
Just read them both tonight. I mean, they're not very long.
Oh yeah, they're only like 250 pages
Oh, that's
long.
just a 2-day read right there.
Yeah, it wouldn't take me long.
I'd ask to
I
read
just
them
gotta
after you're
take the
done with
time
them,
to-
but I'm on
Go to the
spring break
library.
this week, and then I go back to school. So I know I'm not going to get a chance to do any recreational reading.
Which-
So
and
I'll
I-
just give up on that.
Knowing our library and knowing Doctor Who, when I was wandering through the sci-fi section, when I got done there, I went to the young adult sci-fi section, and that's where I found one of these.
okay. All
I
right.
figured because I knew a lot of
That's
the stuff.
why I haven't seen them then. But you said one of those was in the adult sci-fi section.
This one of them, and there wasn't as many in the young adult.
Because I've seen the Pertwee book,
Yeah,
as you said. I
Singular.
don't remember which. Yeah, that's the only one I've seen.
yeah, and there aren't as many in the young adult section, but I knew like a lot of the Star Trek books are in the young
Right,
adult section
right.
instead of the adult sci-fi section.
Right.
I think
So-
that just has to
Because
do with
adults
the
don't
popularity
read
of the show, though.
adults don't read science fiction.
No,
Yeah,
but
apparently
like I said, Billy, he goes to the library, and it seems like every time he goes to the library, he comes home with a new Doctor Who episode on DVD. And every time I've gone to our library, they have 2.
He
There's
must
two.
They're
Absolutely.
different
It's the
ones.
same two that I
No,
see every
they're
time.
different
No.
ones each
He must
time.
have
but
returned a bunch because there was a bunch on the shelf.
really,
Yeah,
Oh, well, I'm going to the library tomorrow.
they had the beginnings box
That's where I
set.
got
The
Hand of
beginnings
Fear.
set was
Yeah.
there. The Lost episodes, or whichever that's called. And
Lost
then-
in Time.
Lost in
yeah,
Time.
Lost in Time, and a couple other ones.
Yeah.
Of the classics were there. So
well, are you looking forward to Tenet?
I am looking forward to Tenet. I'm going to start Tenet tomorrow, and I am looking forward to watching more. I got a lot of Tenet to get through, so
Well, Chris, we hardly knew you. We're sorry to
We
see
really
you
did.
go.
yeah.
I really did. But I appreciate David Tennant's taking over and being able to run with it. So, of course, we'll talk more about that next week. But
Absolutely.
I think that's going to wrap up this week's show, guys. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to chime in with? Something we missed this week that you guys think needs to be said?
No.
Jelly babies?
I like them.
Oh, see, I knew somebody would have something. If
you
it's
go
either
to-
going to be you or Keith.
If you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/traveling the vortex, you can see me and Sean. Did you get pictures
And
of
Mel.
Mel?
Yeah.
And Mel trying Marmites.
Oh,
we
the
did
Marmite
We did the
experiment.
great Marmite
We do need to
experiment.
talk about the
Yeah.
Marmite experiment.
After seeing Sean's reaction, I said we need to do this live when we record, and they weren't for that. They didn't want to.
Well, but you'd already experienced it by then, so it's not going to be.
It's still going to be as bad.
Yeah, so Glenn got me the viewing kit, the proper English viewing kit, and there were cream crackers and a jar of Marmite and a cup and saucer tea and everything like that. And I'd held on to it, and finally we sat down. I remember what we were watching that night.
That was Empty
Was
Child,
that
Dr.
Empty Child?
Genesis, yeah.
So we sit down for Empty Child. We take a break in between episodes, and I break out the Marmite. It's like we're watching Doctor Who. I got to do it now. So and I butter up my. First of all, I got to ask, what the hell is wrong with you people? This stuff is nasty. Oh my god!
I'm sure you're directing that to the people in the
the
UK.
people in the UK. There's wow. There's absolutely nothing redeemable I can say about Marmite. I don't like the color of it, which is odd. I don't like the texture of it, which is strange.
It's like molasses.
And then there's the taste, which I'm not even going to get into now. The jar's kind of cute. I can give it that.
It's got a nice label.
It's got this has got to be. You buy one of these little jars. I mean, these are like little tiny Grey Poupon mustard bottle jars, and that's got to last you guys like a year.
Oh, I've seen
or
bigger
longer.
jars than that, though.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, I've seen
Like a peanut butter jar?
No, not that big, but
Like a jelly
half
jar?
Why?
a jelly jar size. Yeah, no.
Why?
Why?
I'm beyond flummoxed. And of course so Sean's buttering up his cracker, and Glenn's grinning because he's had it before. He knew going.
Big
in.
layer
Glenn
of
was the only one
Marmite.
in well, I even had some that night. I
Me
tried
too.
it, but I mean, I've had it before, so
I
I knew what we were getting.
And I have to go first. I'd like to think it's because I'm adventurous, and it's not. It's because I'm gullible, and they knew what would happen. But we'll play along. I'll let Sean go first. And I take a bite of this cracker with this Marmite on it, and
He almost threw up.
He did gag a bit.
I did gag a bit. It was we think we've got it nailed down to beef bouillon cubes with salt and malt vinegar, and the taste was just
Tepid beer.
yeah. It was unreal.
Tepid Guinness.
I can't go so far as to say it's the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten. I've eaten some pretty disgusting stuff, but this was bad. And so this is a feedback moment for all of you that do listen to us in the islands. Why? maybe it's a culture thing. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we do that doesn't make any damn sense over there. And I totally get. But this is taste. You can't fool your taste buds.
Everyone's taste bud's different, though.
No,
True. Some people
no,
like
because
come
what
on.
did I say about Marmite?
You
It
said it
doesn't
was-
bother me that much. It's
Some
not something
people
I
like
would sit down and
broccoli. I
slather
don't.
on crackers. But I don't have
if
the
there was
adverse
a
reaction
zombie
you guys have.
apocalypse tomorrow and all of the food was gone, I would go out and get converted and eat brains before I would sit down with a jar of Marmite and go, thank God I'm surviving.
Oh my god!
It was that bad.
Oh.
It was
Now
horrible.
Keith, I knew would probably fare better because he and I had Vegemite for the first time ever
Yeah.
together. A package was sent from us to the station we worked for from Australia because we had helped them out with a story that they were doing, and so they sent this big package of Australian foods. And one of
A lot
them
of
was
it was
Vegemite.
really good.
And I had Marmite before, but I had never had Vegemite. Well, Vegemite is similar in its context, but it has a varying taste over Marmite.
Yeah.
So I think they're still both yeast-based extracts, but they are very different.
It might not be as bad for us too because we occasionally drink beer.
That's the only
don't
thing that
drink
I
much
can.
beer.
I
You
don't
drink-
drink any beer.
Yeah,
really.
so
I drink
we are-
cheerleader beer. So
We are
it's
used
not-
to the taste of yeast like that and other
Yeah.
hops and
So
whatnot.
maybe
that
that
could be
really
why
affected me
your
more,
reaction
but-
was much worse than mine.
Oh,
I mean, it was
man.
still nasty. Don't get me wrong, and I will not eat it again. But
You know what's going to happen? We're going to get care packages now.
Oh, no.
We're going to get Marmite in
Don't
the
send
mail.
your Marmite to us. Now, if there is other eccentric English foods that you'd like us to try, please send those. But, yeah.
And those we'll
hold
do.
off on the Marmite.
We'll do that.
We could do it
live.
yeah,
We'll do it on the air
absolutely.
next
Who
time. but-
cuisine?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jelly Babies, big thumbs up. Marmite, not a chance. No. Bad.
So far you're 1-1.
I'm 1-1.
All right.
So now we need to get a jar for any guest podcaster we have and have them try it live.
This thing's going to sit in
After
my
the
cupboard.
episode.
I don't know that I can really bring myself to throw it out because it was a gift, but it's going to sit in my cupboard and collect dust because there's no way I'm cracking it back open. Do you remember when I dipped the knife into it and the knife came out and it was just blah?
Well, it's like you said, it's like molasses.
It's molasses.
Yeah.
Oh, granulated. Yuck.
All right. So, like Keith said, you can go to our Facebook page and you can see some of the pictures of the faces that
It's
were
pretty
made.
funny.
I'm not
Very
putting those
neat.
on either. Those were I was in too
No,
much of a
that's-
state of
yeah,
shock to
no, they were
react
all very
to the
genuine
camera.
Oh
faces.
yeah, they were candid photos.
Yeah. Anyway,
Because I looked at them and it looks like, wow, I'm making a funny face in that one. I don't think I could pull that face off if I tried.
well, you've got the one face like you're. This is what we're gonna do tonight. You know, it's so like almost a commercial. Like, look,
Yeah.
here's my jar of Marmite. You know, and then the next one is like, ah. Anyway,
On that
it's a
note,
great Marmite experiment.
And the crackers were bad too.
Oh, I like the crackers.
What's up with the cream crackers? They're like stale saltines.
Without salt.
Without
now
salt.
you're just offending those in the aisles.
Have I gone too far? I'll apologize to the Queen.
Well,
tomorrow.
let's end the show here so we don't offend anybody anymore.
As we go further off the rails.
That's right, absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for joining us this week. And, of course, tune in next week for another exciting episode of Traveling the Vortex. For now, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean, the food critic.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.